All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to Make Your Money Work for You. Hey, I hope you guys are having a good day. Um, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about Monday on this. What is this? This is Hump Day. Yeah, this is Wednesday. All right, well, let's get started. We will chat about this. So what I would recommend if you're watching this on recording or if you're doing this live with me today, make sure you grab a notebook and a piece of paper. There's some things I want you to draw out just to kind of make sure that we kind of are visualizing and really absorbing some of the foundational principles of how we're going to make our money work for us, right? So the first thing is we're going to kind of talk about our mindset around money. We're going to learn some fundamentals, and we're also going to work through some systems and models to make it more profitable for you guys, right? So I'll tell you a quick story. I obviously been in real estate over 15 years, licensed 20 years just because in the family business. And I remember getting my first commission check. It was $6,400. I thought I was rich. I thought I had just arrived. So I just spent it, right? And so one of the things that is a challenge in our industry is that we get untaxed dollars directly deposited in our bank account. And some of us, many of us, that type of money never entered our bank account up until this industry. And so if we're truly running a real estate business like a business, some of the foundational elements we're talking about today have to be implemented sooner rather than later, quicker, running to these foundational principles, because unfortunately, time gets away from you, money gets away from you, and you've spent honestly more than you've made. So big conversation. So the first thing is, what is your mindset around money? One of the things that I've found for myself is that you may be in a family where it's called, a split money situation, right? So examples often are, your mother is very financially conservative with her money. Maybe the father is a little bit more loves to spend the money, right? So where do you see your mindset of money? Where do you fit in? What is your split decision and your mindset around money, right? Because we always grew up, both of us, at least in my household, of kind of hearing these two common phrases. Money doesn't grow on trees, and money is the root of all evil, right? And so when you're programming around money is the start of how you're going to manage money and how the management of that money is going to work for you and benefit. So I want you to think about this. Money is a tool, nothing more and nothing less, right? It's important for you to have it. It's important for us to make it, and it's obviously important for us to spend it based on the economy, right? But there's three numbers I'd like for you guys to write down: 5%, 15%, and 80%. Now, what are these numbers, right? Well, these are a little different than maybe what you've heard. You may have heard the 1%ers, right? The 1% of the population are billionaires, right? Well, in fact, what the reality is that there's 5% of generational wealth. And yes, that does include anybody that's like the Bill Gates of the world, but there's 5% of generational wealth. And what that generally means is that anybody who has any decent wealth, 100,000, a million, like whatever it is up to 5 million, it passed it generation after generation. And we're seeing, obviously, through the cycles of generational wealth that it's just growing and growing, but it still only represents 5% of the entire population. And then 15% represents the middle class. I always kind of find that humorous. It's under $1 million is what they consider middle class. And then everyone else, the 80% is the working class, or they're kind of dependent or codependent on government assistance or things like that. So unless have a net worth of $1 million or more, we're in that 80%, right? So when we're saying money is a tool and nothing more or nothing less, I want you to get into the framework or the mindset that money is good for the good it can do, right? I'm going to say it again. Money is good for the good it can do. And so spending money in the right ways and setting up foundational skills because I'll tell you, they don't teach you this in high school. They sure as heck don't teach you this in college, right? And so it's our responsibility, in my opinion, to educate ourselves and our children, right? So let's kind of just break it down. Let's keep it real, right? So the average agent, 80% of us, get that commission check and we throw it right in our personal account. I was that agent, right? I didn't know any different. That was just how it was. Now, the second agent is a little bit, I would say, has some more momentum to it, right? So they have a separate account. They get that check. They have a separate account where they put away some tax money. They put away some money for their business expenses, and they have a budget. And they have that home account, right? So the agent with momentum at least has 3 physical accounts, right? So if you look here on the screen, it's got an example. $10,000 is your commission check. $3,300, the minute that it hits your bank account, has to be transferred or automatically deposited into that tax account. Because we all know that all 10 grand is not your money or my money, right? So automatically putting that in there. So that's that tax account, 3,300 or 33%. Business account, we put the same amount in, and then we transfer the rest of the money into our home account, and Amazon Prime Day, here we go, right? Biggest thing here is that we do have a business budget. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Is this $3,300 has to be held accountable in your business account, right? We want to have return on that investment. We don't want to just be spending it. And again, another quick story. I remember literally on billboards and shopping carts, this beautiful face right here was on those shopping carts and those billboards. Was that a waste of money? Yeah, it was not a good return on that investment. It's part ego and part just lack of knowledge of what a budget really is for a business, right? So this is what agents with momentum that are taking it to the next level are. And this is what I want you to think about, right? There's actually 4 physical banking accounts. And in my opinion, this one on the left, where you see the investment account, should be in a secondary bank, right? So I use Wells Fargo, so I have a tax account, I have a business account, and I have a home account with Wells Fargo. And then I have an investment account, or what we often call a profit account, and that's actually, I have mine in a credit union. I make it hard to get to, so I can't withdraw money from that investment account, and then I have it connected to other opportunities, which you see here, right? But you'll also see a slight differential in the money, right? There's still a $10,000 check. You notice there's checks. So you're going to be, obviously, agents in momentum have multiple checks, right? Because you're doing the right activities. But it went down a little bit. The tax account went down a little bit, right? 3,000 versus 3,300. The goal is that your CPA or your accountant is going to give you tax benefits, some write-offs, so you can benefit from some of the tax advantages of being self-employed. Second, business account, right? You're going to be funding that business account, but there's going to be other more quantity of those accounts. So you can kind of thin that out just slightly, because what we're doing is we're just taking the tax, the business, and the home account just a little bit. And remember, if you're looking back at the previous one, right? And we're sliding that additional money, that $1,000 differential there, and we're putting it in an investment account. This is the game changer, guys. This is where you have your fund cash, your real estate cash, where you're going to buy investment real estate or flip properties. You're going to, get down that debt, and then you're also going to be investing it in college funds, retirement funds, stocks and bonds, whatever you know that you need to do to make your money work for you. So the reason why we wanted to kind of illustrate this, and I want you to either take a screenshot of this or write this out, is because which one are you? Are you the first agent that just puts the check in the bank? Are you the second agent that puts that check and does know they have to pay Uncle Sam, and that you've got a business account and you got that home account? Or are you agent 3 or C, right? That is really looking long-term about what this real estate business can do and what those investment accounts or what that profit account can do to build wealth over time, right? It's $1,000 in this example, right? It will take time to build that investment account, but if you don't do it now, when will you do it, right? So I just want you to think about that going into this conversation about how you can build wealth. The other thing I want you to think about is you're building a large business. And when I say large business, it's going to depend on the size of your business. It's dependent upon what you want, right? It's your goal, it's your destiny, it's your vision for your business. But all businesses, regardless if you want to sell 2 houses a month or 20 houses a month, you got to think bigger and building it like a 20-lane highway for your future, right? If we built it on a country road, we're going to have to demolish the road, clear out the trees, and widen the road, right? That's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of change. And what I would coach you to do is that you need to think about the vision of your business and how do we build it wider? How do we build it to a 20-lane highway now, even though maybe you're not ready for it, right? Because again, it's much easier to build on the platform or the foundation of a large highway now versus starting with a country road. You guys have probably seen this. It comes out of the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It talks about it, and you guys have seen this. Leads is the foundation. Listings on the left is momentum, and leverage is that accomplishment of either technology, people, or systems, right? But what you may not see in this model before is it says think, earn, net, receive. Think like a millionaire or someone that's building wealth. Starts obviously with mindset. Earn, you got to do the activities, right? We talk about that, building that foundational business so it has residual income, it has referral base. The net, watching your money, right? Making sure you're netting a profit and making sure that you're being responsible for your money. And then you will receive all of those other things, right? You'll receive the opportunity of those investment accounts, receive the opportunity to pay it forward, possibly with a nonprofit or other people in your organization. So I want you to think about that it's a bigger picture than just putting money in the bank and sliding it into 4 accounts, okay? There's a bigger method to that. The other thing is that do you think like someone that wants to build wealth? And yes, it says 9 ways to be a millionaire real estate agent. Maybe that's not your goal to be a millionaire, but you still need to think like a millionaire, right? Millionaires and billionaires have a philosophy, a system, a model, a mantra for them to get to that level. The first 2 are those foundational principles. What is your big why? And what are those big goals and big models, right? We talk about that a lot. The additional ones are all supportive. You got to think the possibility, you got to take action, you got to think without fear, think progress, and be competitive and strategic, and then think standards and then service, right? All of those combinations together are going to allow you to use your money and make it more powerful for either your branding or your organization as a whole. How do we gain control over our money, right? We're making money. You guys are top producers now. So how do we gain control over our money, right? Because we know in a consumer spending world that we're always 1 app away from spending it if we don't guard that, right? Well, the first is we got to establish a goal. And so I'm sure you've done this, but you establish 2 goals. It's a personal goal and a business goal, right? A personal goal and a business goal. The second thing is following a budget. Same thing, there's 2 things. Do you have a personal budget, like a home budget, and do you have a business budget? Or do you just spend what you spend? Tracking it, daily, weekly, have accountability behind it, and then holding that money accountable. Looking at those investments, looking at, hey, I just sent out a just sold postcard. Did I get a return on that? Did someone call me, right? I've been farming a neighborhood for 6 months. Am I getting a return on that farming of that neighborhood, right? Making sure that you're not just auto-debiting things out of your account, you're actually using it as a leverage piece for your business and for your personal. So many of you know that I'm obsessed with this book called Profit First, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to read this section to you. It says, profit is not an event. Profit is something that happens at year end or at the end of your 5-year plan or someday. Profit isn't even something that waits until tomorrow. Profit happens now and always. Profit must be baked into your business every day and every transaction. That is why one of those accounts, that investment account, has to be that profit account. I love strategically saying not savings account, that it's a profit account, because many of us come from an old school mindset that we're going to work hard and then eventually we'll retire and then our savings will sail us into the sunset. Well, I'll tell you that that savings account is going to have to be pretty hefty for the quality of life that we all probably want to maintain. So how do we build profit first? How do we do that now, right? It's strategically pushing that aside. And there's a couple excerpts I want from this book I want you to think about. It's principles that I think are pretty foundational, but pretty revolutionary, honestly. And it comes from kind of the health and diet industry. And in the book, it basically says, think about it when you're going to go on a diet or you're going to really live a more healthy, nutritious lifestyle, right? And you've got all of the main ingredients. You've got the starches, you got the fruits, you got the vegetables, you got the protein, right? And so the core principles of health in the diet industry are the same core principles of how we make our money work for us, right? First of all, we use small plates, we serve sequentially, we remove temptation, and we enforce a rhythm. You're like, what are you talking about, right? Well, let me break it down even a little bit easier and even more simplified, right? Using small plates. When your money comes into the main income account, it just simply serves as a serving tray for the other accounts, right? And we talked about, we have the profit account, we have your business account, we have your taxes, and then we have your owner account, right? Your home account, right? So those are the four accounts. So it comes in and you know the percentages, 33, 33, and then the other remaining two go into your compensation, because we know taxes and operating expenses are 33. So your owner compensation, which is your home account, is based on your budget, and then let's slide some of that leftover money into profit. Oftentimes it's about 10 or 15% at the beginning. Serving sequentially, always allocate money based on the percentage to the accounts, right? So every time you get a check, that $10,000 check, you take the calculator out and you're like, all right, transfer money here, transfer money there, transfer money there. And then on the profit account, because I have it as a secondary account, it is a write a check, go and direct deposit it in the bank, right? Because it's not a transfer on your app of your phone. But serving sequentially, always allocating the same percentages based on those accounts, right? Not robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? You want to buy that new watch. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, your owner compensation budget didn't increase, so you need to build that up over time in order to buy that watch, example. Remove temptation. Like we said, move your profit account to arm's reach, out of reach. So make it real hard to get that money. That's why I use that example of Wells Fargo, that is our primary three, and then our profit account is in a credit union. I don't even have a debit card for that account. Enforce a rhythm. Do your allocations twice per month. And the interesting thing is, specifically, they're saying on the 10th and 25th. I like this because we're in a commission business and we don't regulate when the money comes in, right? So if we have a closing on the 23rd, which is today, it pops in our bank account, right? But by the 25th and the 10th, we have them set on our Google calendars. We allocate, we use our small plates, and we sequentially do percentages out to those four accounts. And that's how we enforce those four core principles. Pretty cool, right? Simple stuff. Again, it's just those four key things: small plate, sequential, temptation, and that rhythm. All right, well, let's talk about some of the other fundamental terms that we all need to be aware of. I'm sure you do, but a little refresher doesn't hurt anybody. First of all, in our real estate business, we have what we call a cost of sale, which is COS. Cost of sale is the cost of acquiring the income. This is not an expense. So typical cost of sale in real estate are going to be things like transaction coordinators. If you're on a team, you're paying a split to your buyer agent or your listing agent, or paying a referral fee to another agent, right? Maybe you're paying a staging consultation or a staging fee. Maybe you're paying for photography. The reason why it's called cost of sale, if you remember it this way, if the sale does not occur, then the expense does not happen, right? It's not like your cell phone bill that if you sell 0 houses this month, the cell phone bill is still going to need to be paid, right? But if you do not have a listing, you're not paying the stager, you're not paying the photographer, if you don't have a closing, you're not paying the split of a buyer's agent, you're not paying the cost of sale of your brokerage, right? If you are a brokerage where it's a transaction fee or a percentage, when they receive, quote, the commission and then give you your portion, that is a cost of sale as well. So I just want you to be clear on that, because obviously expenses are those operating costs, right? And the cost to get leads and to even run the business, even if the sale doesn't occur. Right, so it definitely is occupancy. It's definitely the cell phone bill. It's definitely gas in the car. You still have to do those things to keep your business running, right? So why do I bring this up? Well, the first thing is that you need to know the difference between the two, because if your money is tight, if you're feeling a pinch in your income, you're not hitting the goals that you want to hit, you can control your cost of sale only to a certain extent, because that's based on the income coming in. So the first thing that I would recommend is, if you're not hitting your sales goals, is you got to go look back at your expenses. Those are things that you can control. Because let's be honest, if you get a call today to list $1 million house, you're going to have to spend some money. You're going to spend money on the photography and the staging and the marketing brochures, right? All of those expenses are going to creep up because now you have a sale coming, right? So if you're tight, I would look at your expenses. I would look at what are you doing and what with, and is it working for you? So let's talk about some big expenses. The two biggest, largest expenses that you should allocate for your real estate business are salaries and lead generation. And if you look at the screen, it gives an example. It basically says two things on this screen. It says, number one, operating your cost of sale. Cost of sale should not be more than 29.2, so roughly 30%. And then lead generation, I would bump it up, but it's right there, 9.2, so no more than 10%, right? So there's two observations I want you to think about. First of all, cost of sale, to get to 29 to 30%, you're running a pretty aggressive team. Most of you guys, at the level of your business, with the growth of your business as far as your agents' productivity and the size of your admin staff, you're not at 29%. But you should know what your percentage is and track accordingly. But one thing that's interesting, the lead generation, 9.2% a year, is, do you know what you're really spending on lead generation? Are you starving your business? Or are you thriving? Are you starving it so much that you're not spending enough on lead generation? That's what I'm seeing a lot when I do your one-on-ones. I'm also seeing that some of us are exceeding that lead generation budget, and we're not holding that money accountable. Again, anything that's lead generation is activities or supplies that are giving you the opportunity to lead. Stamp, a handwritten note that you mailed out to a past client is lead generation. A gratitude gift, a pop-by gift that you drop on someone's door every month is lead generation, right? So think about that in a way that you can kind of literally spit out those numbers. And I'll tell you, if you're a true business owner, you should know those percentages. What are you really spending on lead generation? What is your monthly budget for lead generation, right? So I'll just do a quick example. If I want to gross $300,000, I'm going to be spending $30,000 a year on lead generation, right? That's the math on that. divided by 12 months. I'm going to be spending $2,500 a month on lead generation. I need to know what that is. I need to have a budget for my lead generation. I need to know how much of the stamps, how much of the Popeyes, how much are the Facebook ads that I'm spending, right? What am I spending my $2,500 on each month consistently? Not 1 minute is 500, next minute's 2,500, next minute's 3,700, right? What are we doing consistently? Because we have a marketing budget essentially, just like Nike, right? Nike still advertises. We all know what Nike and Adidas are, but you still see ads and billboards, right? Because they understand the investment of lead generation and the marketing and prospecting of that brand, just like yours. So 3 things I would recommend to kind of track these expenses and your profit. Number 1, the Mint app is a personal budget app. Second of all, QuickBooks, easy, right? It's like $12 a month. It automatically ties to your bank accounts and your debit cards. And I know that you're using a business debit card, right? I know you are. And then I have a household budget worksheet, and I'm happy to provide this to you. But it's a great opportunity to track those $15 expenses. Sometimes the 15 to 20, the 30 to 50, those smaller items that we take for granted in our household budget are what the difference between us maintaining our profit and not, and having that money work for us. So what are you using to track your expenses and track your budget is kind of the key point there. All right, so the last few things, and then we'll hop off because I know you're busy selling real estate, is I want you to think about a couple additional things as we come to a close here. Money. It's not how much you earn, it's what you do with that matters, right? So a lot of you are doing amazingly well in the last year. You're hitting your goal, you're exceeding your goal. But what are you doing to be financially responsible for that money? One of the first things is we got to really hold that money accountable, like we talked about. It's called red light, green light, right? When you spend it, evaluate your results. That's important. We recommend a specific time period. It should be at least 3-month minimum, right? So do something and track the results. Are you getting leads from it? Again, tracking those lead sources is going to tie back to the money. If there isn't a return, we need to stop spending, or we need to pivot and really realize, are we really using it for all it's worth? Meaning, are we really doubling down? Are we really prospecting around it? Are we really effective with the marketing message that we're putting on our postcards? Is there a call to action? Is there something sticky on the postcard or the direct mail that would cause someone to pause and then call you for your services, right? The next thing is that your time matters. And so I want you to go through this simple exercise on your notebook is, all right, let's say you want to net $300,000 this year, right? The average agent works 60 hours a week, which is crazy, but we know that. And then the goal is that you're going to take a couple weeks off of the year, right? So if we're going to do this, we're going to take $300,000 and we're going to divide it by your 3,000 hours per week. I'm sorry, per year. And then that equals $100 an hour. Why are we doing this exercise? Because if our money is working for us and time is connected to our money, we're worth $100 an hour. So when we're dropping a lockbox, or when we're adding a sign to the front yard, or when we're dropping Popeyes off and not knocking on the door, we're just dropping them on the doorstep, $100 an hour is what you're worth, right? Think of it like billable hours, like an attorney or a lawyer, right? You're worth $100 an hour. So are the activities you're doing right now serving you? Are they actually making you money, or are they costing you money? Or could you leverage it out? Could you hire somebody for $10 an hour to drop off your Popeye gifts if you're not going to knock on the door? Could you have somebody else run and put the lockbox on the house? Could you have someone else drop a sign? Or you could mail something rather than drive across town and save you some gas money and time, right? So People that really understand the principle of making your money work for you also connect the dots with their time. And I think sometimes our ego gets in the way of that, and we're like, oh, we're too good to drop off a lockbox. No, it's a principle of time. If you take that same amount of time and prospect, market, spend time with your family, whatever your decision is on that time, or drop off that lockbox, what is making you the most investment of your money? I'm not going to answer that for you, but I want you to think like you can think through some of the prospects of how you earn more money. So that is really what I want to go over today. I want you to think about how do you focus on your mindset around money, those models, right? So we know it's really in a nutshell, it's called 30-30-40, right? 30% cost of sale, 30% expenses, and 40% profit. That's what you want to end up with. And then remember those 4 buckets on how to get that done, right? It's the home account, it's the tax account, it's the business account, and it's that profit account. Those 4 buckets of money, right? And those have to be allocated correctly. Those have to be separate accounts. They can't just all be lumped in one checking account. We want to have separate accounts for that. And we want to make sure we're holding all 4 of those accounts accountable with using the proper tools. And then making sure you're evaluating your money. We want to watch the money, your money, 2 times a month. We talked about that, right? So make sure you're coming up with a plan with either active and passive income. Passive opportunities are huge in real estate, right? Obviously equity through real estate investments, equity through rental, property management, right? Other opportunities are out there as well, all right? Well, thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. But ultimately, I want you to realize that it truly is about, this business is not about selling houses. It's about how you can make your money work for you. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time, and I will talk to you guys soon. And I appreciate you. Bye.